Now, I'd love to introduce our next conversation, how to align your leadership with your multicultural identity. Klarrisa Frank empowers multicultural leaders to own their authentic voice and power so they can make the impact they want in their life and career. She especially enjoys working with people who live and work across cultures. She does this through one-on-one coaching and customized leadership programs and workshops. Klarrisa is a first-generation Chinese multiracial American with over 15 years of leadership development experience in nonprofits, startups, and international corporations. She's traveled to over 30 countries, calling 5 of them home. She's originally from the West Coast of the US, but has been living in Amsterdam now for 5 years. When she's not working, she loves biking along the Dutch canals, taking care of her plants, and is currently exploring ceramics. Welcome, Klarrisa. Please take it away, and thank you for starting our day 1 of Power to Fly Summit.
Yes, thank you so much. And Marielle, I loved your introduction as well. So thank you so much for sharing your story. I really loved hearing that. Yeah, as Marielle said, my name is Klarrisa Frank. My pronouns are she, her, and I am so excited to kick us off today. And I'm going to have some slides to share. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen over here. All right. Okay, well, since Mariella did such a beautiful introduction, I'm going to go ahead and jump into what we're going to cover today. So today we are going to talk about these 3 keys here. So the first one is how to honor your identity and ambitious goals without compromising your values, the mindset shifts necessary for you to be seen and heard as an authority in your field, and how to be that go-to person for that next leadership or business opportunity. So who is this talk for? This is for leaders or people, maybe you're an aspiring leader as well. You have a multicultural mindset. So you identify as multicultural, maybe because of your background and or experiences. Like Mariella said in my intro, I love working with people that not only identify because of their heritage as multicultural, but also maybe you live and work across cultures as well. And this is for action takers. You're ambitious, passionate, and ready to take the next step in your growth journey. So this is also for you if maybe you're frustrated with being seen as an outsider and being questioned for what you want to actually do. Maybe you're also wanting more opportunities to do work that lights you up and impacts people, communities, and maybe even systems. I love those ambitious go-getters out there for that. And then maybe this is also for you if you're dreaming of being seen as an expert in something you actually deeply care about. So, imagine you could wave a magic wand and be recognized for your authority and impact so that you can easily attract aligned new leadership opportunities. Again, swipe the wand. Maybe you want to inspire others with your unique message and stories so that you can show people that leadership can look different and help others move into their own aligned action. And maybe last swipe of the wand, you want to be part of a strong community of like-minded people so that you're no longer the outsider, but the leader of maybe a whole new movement. But this doesn't have to be magic. Even if you're feeling stuck today and you don't feel like change is possible for you, I want you to know that it can be. And I have this quote from a previous client of mine. This is a stock photo to be fully transparent to conceal our identity, but this is Mickey. She's a mixed Asian woman in Berlin, Germany. And she shared that, when we started working together, she was deep down in a bad feedback loop of not wanting to invest any time, effort, patience, money into herself. And through our coaching together, she shares that there were tools and a guiding light that lifted the fog little by little. I honestly didn't think any physical behaviors could change at this age in life. But as she shares here, it is possible to see some of the changes you want. If you work with Klarrisa, you'll definitely feel and see a change. So you're here, which is great. And I'm going to be teaching you some healthy and helpful tips in this training. But I don't want you to just watch this training. And because just like you, I don't want to just be another inspiration here. talking. I want to actually see you get results and actually start getting new opportunities to share your unique leadership. Because I know when more of us are out there showing up in our diversity and our nuances, this is how we start changing the world. So if you're here now, you should continue listening and learn about some of the things that I'm going to teach you, but you should also book a call so we can figure out exactly, how to get you where you want to go dramatically faster and easier than if you were doing it on their own. So everyone here gets a free call with me. I'll go ahead and drop the link in the chat. But, a little bit more about who I am. Maria did a beautiful introduction, but I'll just say it one more time. I'm Klarrisa Frank, pronouns she, her. I'm an international leadership coach with over 15 years of leadership development experience and over 7 years now of working internationally. I'm a first-generation Chinese multiracial American, now living and continuing the immigrant story here of my family in Amsterdam. And you can find me on social media at Klarrisa Frank on most channels. A little bit more about my story and how I'm sitting here before you today. Over the past 2 years, I started sharing my own story as a mixed race Asian woman living here in the Netherlands. And I had my own fears of believing I could really make a difference with what made me different. So I kept overthinking my next steps and feeling stuck. And this made me feel invisible over and over again, instead of actually taking steps for action. But since then, since I started sharing my story, I've held virtual events, this is the pandemic, with over 200 people, been invited to multiple international conferences such as this one, been on podcasts, and spoke at multiple organizations to do workshops, again, like this, or just sharing my story. And best of all, I feel like I'm building a career where I can make my voice heard and feel seen. I can trust that I'm impacting and making a difference in the world and in my community with my work. And that extra energy I spent worrying about my career and whether I was doing enough now gets funneled into other passions and hobbies and things like that. And best of all, I've helped my clients do the same. So the ultimate goal that I hope and wish for you is more aligned opportunities to share your unique voice and expertise, whatever that looks like for you. And so now I'm going to go in and share 3 things that I think will help you define that for yourself. So deep breath. Here we go. So the first one is to unravel expectations. So what happens when you unravel expectations? Imagine, feeling free to make choices based on your values, being unafraid of disappointing others, carving your own path, and being seen as a leader for it. Let's talk about expectations first. All of us have them no matter our background. So for many immigrants and children of immigrants, such as myself, expectations, especially around our career, can often look very similar across demographics. There was this big sacrifice made, so by moving across the world or wherever, so now you should become a doctor, a lawyer, nurse, or whatever profession is deemed most lucrative and respectable by your cultures. But these and so many other expectations, like even our own, can hold us back from what we really want in life. A little side story is my Chinese grandmother used to read me and my brother's palms. So somehow his always said that he was going to be a doctor, and mine was that I was going to be a lawyer. So my brother is now a winemaker, and I'm sitting here before you, not a lawyer. So we both learned how to unravel expectations set for us and carve our own paths. So a quick little exercise for you all here today is, what expectations do you or maybe others have for your career? So go ahead and take a minute and write down any that you feel you have, and feel free to share them in the chat as well. And as you look through this list of expectations that you've made, or maybe if people are sharing some in the chat, some of those that you see in yourself, do a quick check. Who do these expectations really belong to? I know I asked, what expectations you have for your career, but sometimes even those are a little bit tricky. They might belong to family or friends or institutions or society that tells us, or our culture. And another question to check in about some of these expectations is, what's the cost of letting these expectations lead my life? So I'll give an example with my own story. Honestly, a few years ago, I don't think I could have even imagined giving this workshop here today. As a mixed Asian, I often have questioned whether I belong as a speaker at a conference such as this with other global Asian and Pacific Islander leaders. I would expect others to either lash out or tell me I'm not Asian enough to be here. And even with all the mixed folks that I've worked with and my own self-development, I still sometimes question my belonging. And I don't think it'll ever fully go away, but I've learned how to release the expectations and judgments of others more and more quickly over time. Because you see, as those final two questions that I just asked you to reflect on, those expectations I had of people lashing out by saying mean things, those were not mine to hold. They belong to others. They belong to a society that measures us against each other. And when I let those expectations lead, they cost me my voice, my story, and they held me back from inspiring others into their own action. So I have evidence from clients and from others like you all watching today that sharing my stories helped them take the next steps. I also have a story from a client. Again, the name and photo have been changed for privacy, but this is a story about Michelle, who had risen her way to the top of her industry. She was looking to secure a spot at a really reputable agency in her field. And I know she could not have only done that. This woman was a powerhouse and could probably run her own agency. When she came to me, she had a whole list of expectations she thought recruiters and companies required of her, and she didn't feel like she could ever meet them. While Michelle had a ton of applicable experience, she didn't have one thing, a formal education. And this one thing she didn't have got her spinning in her head and made her cancel interviews, actually. Have you ever gotten so much in your head about something that made you procrastinate or put off the very thing you wanted? Hands up if that is you. Well, once we identified the exact story, that exact expectation holding Michelle back, and recognized where it came from, we started collecting evidence of what was true and false about that expectation. Eventually, she realized that she wouldn't be getting called back to second, third, fourth interviews if she wasn't meeting their expectations already. So she started showing up to the whole interview process, and finally ended up landing her next position. And I'm reading in the chat, some people have shared some of their own expectations here. To listen, learn, apply, and share and repeat for your career. And thank you for your affirmations here in the chat. So, when you unravel expectations, what's possible for you? When you start to live fully by your expectations, you could finally start carving your own path and stop letting others' stories cloud your head. I mean, really think about what you could accomplish if you move past those. And it gives me sometimes like chills just thinking about all the people in these virtual rooms that I talk to and all the potential that's just here today. The second thing I want to share is about aligning your leadership with your multicultural identity is to choose your story. What's the benefits of choosing your story? Well, imagine when you choose your story, you're inspiring others with your own personal vision and passions. You're taking action on maybe a dream or goal you've been sitting on for years. And you're also trusting all your passions will get to shine eventually. So a question to ask yourself as somebody who has maybe multiple different cultural identities or parts of you, which part of your identity wants to be expressed in your career right now? So maybe it is part of your heritage, Asian or otherwise. Maybe it's part of you that wants to be more creative or even more analytical. Maybe it's your gender or sexuality. Maybe it's this, it could be the skills, background, passions, experiences, or anything that makes up you. And, you know, another way I like to think of this question is, what is that piece of you that is longing to be seen more in the world? I work with a lot of multi-passionates, so I get if this feels a little bit hard, but, and, you know, maybe that comes, maybe I work with a lot of them because of living and working in multiple cultures, but I also identify as a multi-passionate myself. And while the pros of this is that we offer a lot of energy and ideas to the world, sometimes our biggest downfall is getting stuck in our heads and swirling around about where to start. This costs a lot of time and energy, and I'm sure, you know, hands up if you've ever felt that yourself. So imagine what would be possible if you chose, you know, one story or part of your identity to start with, integrated that into your work and your career life, and trusted that your other passions would find a way to be added along the way. I have my own story, but I want to share with you a story from one of my past clients. This is Kat. I'm going to drop her Instagram here. Please follow her, especially if you're looking for book recommendations. But a little background about Kat is that she wanted to be seen for her passion, but wasn't sure which one. And during our time together, she realized how unique it was to read so many books in a year, how much knowledge she had about all types of genres, authors, books, everything. And then that there weren't many, as they call it in the Instagram world, bookstagram accounts that focused on Black, Indigenous, and people of color or BIPOC authors and stories. So I challenged her to start the account, the Instagram account, and just see where it went. So that was just over a year ago. And while this didn't end up maybe in paid work, she found true fulfillment in this creative hobby of hers, and even leadership opportunities. She now has over 3,000 followers on Instagram. She focuses on BIPOC authors again. I see her being tagged and recommended in all sorts of places. Plus, recently she's even started a private community of other bookstagrammers that focus on BIPOC authors, which has added, you know, another element or part of her identity that she wanted to fully realize during our work together, which is being a community organizer. And just reading in the chat some comments about this part, choosing your story. This person shares, I love this one, choose your story. People see your glory, but not your story. For those who are where they desire to be in life, sometimes does not tell the story of the hell it took to get there and remain there. So tell the world, and those who are listening will hear and understand. So clapping as a thriver and ally. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so the results of sharing your story is really what the comment I just shared from the chat. But, you know, when you know where you want to focus your story and expertise for now, you can start standing out and sharing this with others. And as this comment in the chat just said, when you tell the world, those who are listening will hear and understand. So, and if you don't know where to start, this is something we can totally explore together when you book your free call with me as well. The last piece that I want to share with you is called what I call create belonging within. And again, what happens when you create belonging within? Imagine knowing you belong wherever your feet are planted. You're feeling deeply connected with other like-minded folks. And a little bit more about like, what does it mean to create belonging within? Belonging is a sensitive, let me start over. Belonging is a really sensitive topic for those of us with marginalized identities. Many of us have grown up and spent our entire adult lives figuring out how to find and feel connection with others, and honestly, ourselves. But for me, in the work I do with clients, I've found profound transformation with clients who have connected deeper within themselves. The work I do with clients goes beyond just analyzing the racing thoughts and beliefs. We also check into your body and soul. We really explore the parts of you, the story of you that wants to shine more and more. And I often also do visualizations to connect with ancestors, your ancestors past and present. I often share this thought with clients that I also shared on a podcast recently, in podcast interview recently, is that belonging starts with you. When you connect to all parts of you, the good and the broken, that is when you can step fully into your leadership. And when you are deeply connected to yourself on multiple levels, mind, body, soul, ethnicity, gender, et cetera, then it becomes easier and easier to design and create a community of like-minded folks, and even be brave enough to step into new opportunities that align with that. So I also like to say, when you have these puzzle pieces of yourself and the confidence to step forward, this is when the magic happens. This is when opportunities start lining up. Another client example that I like to share, first take a drink of water, is from Alex. You can follow her at Alex Uchida Art, or .art, sorry. Alex is an artist. She creates customized paintings of her clients after an extensive interview, with you. For example, if you're a client of hers, she paints a personalized floral portrait with a detailed explanation of why she chose those flowers based on your chat together. And during our time together, she desperately wanted art to be her actual paid career. And to be honest, Alex probably read more self and leadership development books than me. I'll be the first one to admit it. She knew all the concepts about facing her fears and her unique value, but she wasn't sure exactly where she could really belong in this industry, enough to be seen as an authority for her work. However, she would occasionally get invites to speak or show her art. And as during our time together, as we connected deeper to what all parts of Alex really wanted, again, body, soul, everything, she started to accept some of these offers and realized which ones were actually a fit and which ones weren't, for next time. So after she started showing up to these opportunities that were outside her comfort zone, she started getting a flow of inquiries. She has now since quit her job. And she says this: I'm definitely a lot more confident in myself. I learned to really trust my instincts, and that it's okay to rest, productive even. It was super helpful to understand my self-saboteurs too, and how they've all contributed to everything in life that made me anxious and scared to jump into opportunities. I can safely say with confidence that the exercises we ran through changed my life and my outlook on it. So last little exercise here, and question to think about for yourself is, where do you actually want to connect deeper right now in your career? So this could be to a certain project, a team, a group, a new opportunity, a person maybe at your organization, or maybe it's connecting deeper to what you actually want. So we're coming closer to the close of our time today, but write down this question for yourself and think, what do I actually want to connect deeper right now to in my career? So far today, we've covered how to name expectations and recognize where they come from, how to choose one part of your story to start shining that out in the world, and the benefits of connecting to all parts of you. And my deepest wish and desire for all of you is that I hope you get these things. I hope you get more aligned opportunities to share your unique voice and expertise, maybe something that aligns with an important part of your multicultural identity, hopefully things that pay you equitably and fairly. I hope that you are seen as a change maker in your field. We need more change and alignment in this world. And I hope you find a strong community of like-minded people so that you don't feel alone in your journey and in what you bring to the world. And selfishly, this is my passion and vision for the world. I want to see more diverse leadership out there, and not just in representation, but in leadership styles and characters. So more and more people feel like they have permission to show up as they are. So if you're sitting there and asking yourself, how do I make that happen? Then again, I'm offering a free call to everyone here today. I'll drop the link in the chat if the host can share that with everybody. If this sounds like something that you want, I have an ongoing one-to-one program that helps people like you achieve those things. So if you're looking to grow and you've got that fire in your belly to really make this happen, and you need the accountability, structure, tools, and experience for me to get you there, 10 to 100 times quicker than on your own, then you need to book this call today. Don't wait. Every day you wait will take you longer to get there. And how this call will go down is that it will meet for 45 minutes over Zoom. We'll map out the gap between where you are and where you want to be and what's holding you back from breaking the cycle. And at the end of our time together, you'll have 3 gaps to work on to continue on your leadership journey. You'll have a unique roadmap for how to move forward and at least one thing you can stop doing. After our meeting, we'll decide if working together is the help you think you need to reach your goals, and we'll onboard you to my program. If it's not, you'll still have the information and ideas we've discussed to move forward on your own. And please, please, please don't think that you are not good enough to talk to me. I'm happy to talk with anyone that takes that brave step to reach out for support and book the call today. So again, to book your call, there's the link. There are 2 main reasons why we should chat. If you're ready to get your time and energy back from swirling in your thoughts and move into action, or you're ready to start getting new opportunities, those leadership opportunities you've been dreaming of, then let's talk today. So again, if this sounds like you, let's chat and book your free call. Otherwise, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We have just a couple minutes left, I think, before we get cut off, but I'm happy to answer them, or feel free to reach out to me to answer them as well.
Thank you so much, Klarrisa, and thank you everyone for dropping questions in the chat. I really love that you're highlighting the need to unravel expectations and carve our own paths. I hope, I just want to reiterate that because it's so important, the work that you're doing. So thank you for challenging us to decolonize the mind and start to think for ourselves and start to blaze our own paths. So thank you so much, Klarrisa. It's been an honor to hear from you. Check out the link we've dropped in the chat. So if anyone has any questions or wants to follow up, please connect with Klarrisa. And again, thank you for kicking off our first conversation today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Bye, Mary Ellen.